Today's lecture in anatomy and physiology is eye and ear. The outline of today's lecture is as follows. We will talk about the anatomy of the eye, extraocular muscles, and anatomy of the ear. The eye and the ear fall under special senses. These are both sensory organs. Now let's talk about the surface anatomy of the eye. We have the sclera, which are the whites of the eyes. The pupil, which is the opening in the eye through which light enters. We have the iris, which is the pigmented portion of the eye. In this case, this person has brown eyes. You have the medial and the lateral canthus, which are the corners of the eye. You have the upper and lower eyelids, and you have the eyebrow. Let's go a little bit deeper. Now let's look at the anterior part of the eye. You have the cornea, which is the transparent portion of the eye. You have the iris, which is again the pigmented portion of the eye. You have the pupil here and here, which is where light enters. So light enters this pupil here. It's bent by the lens and it hits the retina. And it's detected by the cells in the retina and transmitted as an electrical signal through the optic nerve to the visual cortex of the brain and the occipital lobe. You have the ciliary muscle / ciliary body, which is here, and you have the lens. We also have the choroid, which is this middle layer, the retina, which is the back of the eye, the optic disc, which is where the optic nerve enters. Ironically, it's also known as the blind spot of the eye. You also have the optic nerve, which is cranial nerve 2, which enters here. Let's talk about the extraocular muscles. And the extraocular muscles are, as its name suggests, are muscles that are located outside of the eye that help move the eye. That's why you're able to look up, down, left, and right, and even diagonally because of these muscles. Most of the extraocular muscles are innervated by cranial nerve 3, which is the oculomotor nerve. And if you recall from the cranial nerve section of the brain and cranial nerves lecture, the oculomotor nerve is responsible for motor innervation to the extraocular muscles. It innervates the medial rectus, which causes your eyes to look towards the midline. You have your inferior rectus, which points the eyes down, so it allows you to look down. You have your inferior oblique, which kind of causes the eyes to look down and in. However, the lateral rectus and the superior oblique are not innervated by the oculomotor nerve. The lateral rectus is innervated by cranial nerve 4, which is the abducens nerve. The reason this nerve is called the abducens nerve is because the lateral rectus abducts the eye, causes the eye to look outward, therefore abducens. The superior oblique is innervated by cranial nerve 6, the trochlear nerve, because as you can see here, the superior oblique's tendon passes through the trochlea. I guess that's why they called it the trochlear nerve. And this nice little mnemonic, LR6 SO4, may help you remember these. LR is lateral rectus, 6 is cranial nerve 6, SO is superior oblique, 4 is cranial nerve 4. Who knows, it might help. Now let's talk about the ear. We're going to talk going from outside to in. So let's start with the external ear. We have the auricle or the pinna. That's basically the part of the ear that you can see. We have the external acoustic meatus, which is the opening here. We have the auditory canal, also labeled ear canal, and we have the tympanic membrane, also known as your eardrum. The middle ear consists of three small bones. They each have names. Me personally, all I care about is that you know that these bones are there, and they function in the mechanical transduction of sound. So sound hits the eardrum, these ossicles vibrate, and their vibratory energy is converted to fluid shifts, which are detected by the cochlea. These fluid shifts are converted to an electrical impulse, which is sent through the vestibular cochlear nerve, cranial nerve 8, which we will talk about shortly. Then we have the inner ear. We have the cochlea, which is responsible for hearing. The cochlea is shaped like a conch shell, which is where it gets its name from, cochlea, conchlea. The semicircular canals are responsible for balance and equilibrium. So there are three of these canals. They're situated at exactly 90 degrees to each other in the X, Y, and Z plane. And you have the vestibular cochlear nerve, which is here. Speaking of the vestibular cochlear nerve, we'll just talk briefly about it. The vestibular cochlear nerve is made up of two parts. You have the vestibular nerve, which is associated with the vestibule of the semicircular canals, which is why it's called the vestibular nerve. And you have the cochlear nerve, which is associated with the cochlea. That's why it's called the cochlea. And these two nerves join to form the vestibular cochlear nerve, which is cranial nerve 8. And this nerve is a sensory nerve, which is responsible for detecting sound as well as balance and equilibrium. I'm out. See ya. Thank you. Like this video, subscribe. Thank you very much.